Yoga is for all ages, and the essence of yoga is mindfulness and being mindful and cultivating that inner awareness of how you are feeling in the moment and how you are feeling in a physical body, how you're feeling emotionally, mentally, how your energy is. And that is something that everyone can benefit from in that mindfulness. There's a lot of research to show it helps reduce stress. It has benefits for our heart and helping with decreasing pain, chronic pain.
Hello, I am Celia Sanker, Executive Director of the DiversityCanada Foundation, the organization that brings you GoldenVoices.com. That's the online portal where seniors gather to focus on issues of importance to seniors. And at GoldenVoices.com, you'll find the Fireside Chat Series, the GoldenYears Fireside Chat Series, where we look at issues with experts as well as everyday seniors that under the theme of living longer and living well. Today we will be speaking with Kim Hanna, who is a fitness and yoga instructor in Ottawa, about yoga and fitness for seniors. Kim is the perfect person to speak with about this because her passion is assisting people of all ages to pursue fitness and wellness. Kim has over 20 years of experience in the fitness and yoga profession, and she's certified in many areas, including as an older adult yoga instructor with the Yoga Alliance. That's the body that provide that certification. She's also certified as a restorative yoga specialized instructor. Seniors fitness instructor certification, she has that through the University of Western Ontario. She has the Heartwise exercise designation from the Ottawa Heart Institute at the University of Ottawa, and she is Bone Fit trained through Osteoporosis Canada. So you are all about keeping everyone of all ages fit and healthy.
Yes, I'm all about encouraging people to get fit, get moving, feel good, feel empowered about feeling good and feeling fit. So, but ultimately it comes up to every individual to find their way for what works for them.
And it's interesting that you have 20 years of experience in this field. However, I understand that fitness is in fact a second career for you.
Yes, I did my schooling, my undergraduate and graduate studies at the University of Ottawa in microbiology and molecular biology. I worked in Health Canada for 29 years in a laboratory that regulated vaccines, and that included safety testing, and it also included some research as well. And I worked in health policy. So my background and my passion has always been around health.
And how did you move from the lab into fitness, yoga and fitness?
Well, I think perhaps I've always had an inclination to move and a love to just move. And even as a child, growing up in a smaller village east of Ottawa, the outdoors was our playground, and we would be out biking and hiking and tobogganing and skating down the road. And that just continued. My parents supported me in figure skating and baseball and just trying all kinds of things. So I've always had this keen desire to learn, to move, and it just kept going. So my career in Health Canada kind of fit into my first movement career, my first passion for movement. And while I was in Health Canada, I decided that as much as I love to try all these different things, I thought I would explore stepping into more of a leadership role in teaching first aerobics way back, teaching aerobic group fitness classes. And I loved the energy of being in a group together with people, and just all the different ways that people would enjoy expressing themselves through the music of the aerobics classes and their bodies, and just how unique everybody was. So just the synergy, and when we all get together, it's a big wahoo.
Yes, we energize each other, we feed off each other, we uplift each other. So that's true, and that's COVID. That's why COVID is so devastating for the entire planet. But technology can help us overcome to some extent, but there's nothing to beat being in the same room with a whole group of people and working towards our fitness and health. Yes, I can imagine how beautiful an experience that has been for you over the last 20 years. So you specialize in working with seniors. How did you come to work with seniors? Because when you think about health and fitness, it's usually these youthful, sleek bodies that might come to mind.
Well, fitness has gone through a lot of changes, and I think part of the marketing of fitness has been to always come up with something new and improved and the new flavor of the day. Hand in hand, though, there's also always new research going on to optimize fitness, to make it safer, to make it more effective, more efficient. And so I've always loved learning a variety, keeping up with research about movement and fitness. There's also a happen chance part to this story too, in that, and it's part of my deep belief too, is that when you really are drawn to something that connects for you, that feels like a passion, opportunities appear. And I just feel very fortunate, very blessed that I've had some wonderful opportunities that have opened doors into communities, to be a leader, to be a facilitator of fitness and of yoga. And as I have aged as well and experienced an aging body, I've come to feel more of a similarity to the older populations. But I would also add to that, there's a bit of this idea, well, what is fitness for older adults? What is an older adult? And that whole concept is changing. We're kind of moving away from the notion of categorizing people according to age groups. And I see it more as about accessibility. And it's about, there are people who really need options and modifications and some guidance and facilitation so that it's accessible for whatever limitations they may have, whether they're physical, emotional, mental, whatever those limitations are. We want to make, my goal is to help make fitness and yoga as accessible to everyone, any age, as possible.
If we look at yoga specifically, again, the image that you see portrayed on social media or in traditional media is of a young individual, a very slim young woman in her yoga pants doing all of these contortions, and someone who is maybe in their 60s, 70s would not see themselves in that image. But you would say that yoga is for seniors as well. How would you convince someone who is in their 70s and 80s and thinking that's not for me? How would you convince them that that's so?
Good question. Yoga is for all ages, and the essence of yoga is mindfulness and being mindful and cultivating that inner awareness of how you are feeling in the moment and how you are feeling in a physical body, how you're feeling emotionally, mentally, how your energy is. And that is something that everyone can benefit from in that mindfulness. There's a lot of research to show it helps reduce stress. It has benefits for our heart. and helping with decreasing pain, chronic pain, and so on. So all of us can practice mindfulness, and the physical practice is about finding a way to work with the physical body, which we're all given, to experience and to work with the limitations we have, and also with the abilities that we have to explore this way of being mindful in our yoga practice, but carrying that over into our daily life.
Let's look at some of the physical constraints that a senior may have and that may make one hesitant to even consider yoga. So what about a senior who may say that I am, my body is already tight and inflexible, and so yoga is not for me. I can't see myself benefiting from yoga.
Many of us come to yoga with tight and flexible bodies, and the lack of movement often contributes to a lot of stiffness and tightness in our bodies. So we begin with just very gentle movement and exploring, where can I move in my body with ease? And maybe it's some of my fingers today, or maybe it's through my shoulders today that some movement feels good. And just keeping with movement that feels very gentle for your body, feels safe, and continuing to practice. So a little bit as often as you can, and then adding on, progressing, and seeing, I could tell you benefits and research. The best way to really find out is to just try it for yourself and explore. I don't really see that there is any limitation that would prevent us from practicing yoga. Yoga is a lot about breathing, being mindful of our breath, moving where there is movement. And if there are areas of our body, for example, if there's paralysis from stroke or accident, we can still visualize and imagine movement within our body, and that can be very powerful for our energy system, for our nervous system as well.
And Kim, you had mentioned chronic pain earlier. How would someone with chronic pain approach yoga? Because the pain can make someone feel to not move at all. It would make someone hesitant to even attempt anything. What would you say to a senior who is dealing with chronic pain?
Well, I would say first, regardless of if you have any health condition, always check with your healthcare provider first. They're the expert. And then also trust your own body's wisdom as well. You know your body best. Movement often stimulates within our bodies release of feel-good hormones, endorphins, and chemicals and molecules within our body. So moving and breathing, movement of the body with the breath as well, can help to release those feel-good molecules within us that can help us cope better with pain. There's also meditation practices too that are specifically specific coping mechanisms for living with pain as well, that can be explored by people. Yeah.
That sounds really interesting. And it goes to what yoga is about and your approach as a yoga teacher. It's not just physical. You take a holistic approach to health and fitness. It's not just, this physical body.
So my background, there are many different types of yoga and different lineages or traditions of yoga. And I'm trained in the Hatha tradition of yoga, which is quite ancient practice originating in India. And the practice begins with probably more of an emphasis on the physical practice and the breathing. And because that's something that most of us can relate to and we can tune into, and often find over time people become more interested in some of the philosophy of the yoga. So yoga, in my view, is not a religion. although it may be practiced by some religious groups, Hatha Yoga does have a particular guidance of personal observances and practices, personal practices that many people practice every day, like cleanliness and eating well and being kind to yourself, being kind to others. So these are just sort of basic principles of yoga that we weave in, and we always try to remind people, encourage people to set an intention in their yoga to practice with what one of the main principles is called ahimsa, which is loving kindness. So practicing with a loving kindness towards yourself, your body, your heart, your mind, your energy. And when we start to really honor ourselves in our practice and move with that kind of loving kindness, it just emanates from us. It flows out to others as well. So that becomes more of a holistic approach. But we often begin with the physical practice and the breathing.
Tell me about your training, to be certified in this area.
Hatha Yoga, there initially was a 200-hour sort of in-person, in-classroom training where we learned a lot about anatomy. I'd also been quite an anatomy geek before that. I just loved learning about the body and how it moves and how it's all connected. So we did 200 hours of that, but there's also other styles of yoga. So there's restorative yoga, which is very much a relaxation. It really sets up our rest and digest and our healing system, part of our nervous system in restorative yoga. And then I went on and taught for a few years after the 200-hour training, and I decided to continue and deepen my training, which was more into the philosophy and the more holistic aspects of Hatha Yoga, doing another 300-hour in-person training. A lot of different modules of that we practice, everything from yoga for children to yoga for stress, yoga for anxiety. I've also done some intensive training on somatic yoga. So what I feel for me is that a blend of a lot of what I've learned and experienced is kind of coming together within me, and that's what comes out when I guide other people in classes. So in a way to say I teach Hatha Yoga is, yes, I teach from the spirit of Hatha Yoga, but a lot of the techniques that I offer and the practices come from this whole blend of background from fitness and different approaches to yoga as well.
Someone who is new to yoga, coming into it for the first time, what should they expect? You said that it's not a religion, and there's some people who have that belief that it is a religion and they have not approached it yet. So what would you tell someone to expect if they are going to start yoga for the first time?
If you're going to start, if you can, always see if you can meet with your instructor or talk with the instructor and get a sense of where they're coming from, because there are differences between different instructors and different traditions of yoga and different types of yoga class. So you might want to know if you're stepping into a goat yoga class or if you're stepping into a hot yoga class or a gentle yoga class. There's a lot of different kinds. It's also a really good idea to go and check out the certifications of your instructor. So Yoga Alliance has a great website. They are the certifying body internationally, and they will list, you can search the instructor's names or ask the instructor. Just have a really good conversation with the instructor if you can, ask questions. Most places will let you try a class for free so that you can get an idea. You should never feel obligated to have to take something that doesn't fit for you, and trust your wisdom. If it just doesn't feel right for you, then it isn't, not at this time.
This was the first time I heard the GOAT yoga. Is that the acronym greatest of all times, or is it No. What's I'm not familiar with the goat yoga.
It's the actual yoga practice with little billy goats.
Oh, okay. I was hesitant to say is it the animal? I was that was on my list, but yes, yes. I think someone should ask before stepping into a class and finding that it's but it sounds cute. It sounds like a in my background, I come from an island where there were goats, and they are cute animals. So goat yoga should be pretty interesting. Okay. Now, part of the holistic approach, if I'm not mistaken, there is the experiencing contentment and satisfaction, so that it's again not just physical. Someone coming into yoga, there is something called Santosha. Tell us if I'm pronouncing that correctly and what it's all about.
Santosha is, in the language of yoga, a sense of contentment with things just as they are. And to be content with things as they are is based on just an awareness of how are things within me, within myself. And can I be content with things just as they are rather than striving to change things or do things that I'm just not capable of at this time? And it doesn't necessarily mean that we don't reach to do things, learn new things, or try new things, but just that sense of contentment that I'm okay just as I am, and go forward from there. And in teaching fitness, and maybe this was one of the elements that made me very curious about yoga, and when we would have the group fitness and we'd be all like, woo, the Jane Fonda, let's go. We get all pumped up, and then we go off and we have all our happy endorphins and the heart's pounding for the rest of the day. But yoga is practiced in a different way. We can still experience that sort of that bubble of joy and enjoyment, but it's almost practiced in a way that there's a certain calmness and just contentment. We're not competitive or competing with others. We're not competing against ourselves. We're just really looking to find that peace and that joy within ourselves as we move, as we breathe. So that's Santosha. For me, that's Santosha. It's that deep gratitude for who we are right now and the contentment that goes with that.
That's a wonderful benefit from yoga that's available to everyone who gives the practice a try. Okay, so you are listed on the University of Ottawa Heart Institute's HeartWise exercise website. That's a long string of words there, but it's the HeartWise exercise website. And can you tell us a bit more about that concept of HeartWise exercises?
Yes. So the University of Ottawa Heart Institute is an amazing institute, has done great research in the area of heart health and rehabilitation. And a few years ago or several years ago, what they found was they would have a rehabilitation program for people who were maybe recovering from heart attacks or strokes. And for those people to go through the rehabilitation, we know how good exercise and how important exercise is to keep up and maintain for a healthy heart. What's the next step for those people once they graduate? And, you go to a gym and you don't know, is that class going to be too much for me, too strenuous? Is it a good next step? So this is what HeartWise training for instructors came up with, and also worked in conjunction with some of the city exercise centers as well, was to give some training so that people coming into my class that might be a next step up, to be more aware of what any contraindicated movements they shouldn't be doing or might not be safe to do right now, or modifications that they could do so they could move safely and be safe sort of as a next step. So it's really a fabulous initiative, and it's not only now as a HeartWise training just for rehabilitation from heart, it also includes about 13 other chronic diseases. So there are many other diseases, stroke, and people have angina or chronic obstructive pulmonary breathing diseases, diabetes. So there's quite a bit of training that goes on so that we can make our classes more accessible to people who are recovering and wanting to make the next step and keep active in a safe way.
So someone who has had maybe heart surgery, it's not a matter of resting and trying not to make too many movements. Yoga can be the part of the path to recovering.
Yes. And there are many paths, but yes, yoga has lots of benefits for people experiencing chronic diseases, but always important to check with your healthcare provider that you're moving into the next step in a safe way, and then speak with your instructor.
So Kim, your designation with the Ottawa, University of Ottawa Heart Institute, at your website, you do provide training or instruction in yoga that anyone, anywhere can access. Tell us first about how someone can access it, your training and fitness instruction, yoga instruction, and then we'll go into the types of yoga and take a closer look. But your classes are accessible anywhere in the world?
Yes, they are. Currently, we have people from the East Coast to the West Coast of Canada participating in our yoga classes on Zoom. We had to pivot from live classes onto Zoom. I have a co-teacher that works with me, so there's always two of us on during the class. One will be teaching and the other will be monitoring the gallery to make sure there are no technical or health concerns going on. We'll see once live classes start opening up again. There may be other venues that I'll be teaching at, but for now on Zoom. The information, I can be reached by email, which will be available to you, and also on my website. There's information posted about the classes. So there's yoga, and in the late fall, early winter, I'll be starting up with meditation Mondays again.
How long do the classes last?
The yoga classes are an hour long on Zoom. And there's people can log in for 15 minutes, up to 15 minutes before the class to socialize. And I'm telling you, we get a lot of socializing in 15 minutes before the class. It's a great community. People have really, we've all gone through the learning pains of Zoom and trying to learn how to talk and just be on a computer in a group of people. And boy, they're getting really good at it. And then there's 15 minutes after class to socialize. Often just some people, if they have specific concerns or want to ask about a particular movement or their own situation, will stay and chat. We're always available to answer emails or to do a little bit of one-on-one if some people have some specific, for example, limitations that they'd like to explore options with us. We're pretty accessible and flexible in inviting people, welcoming them, and helping them find a yoga and a practice that works and fits for them.
What age range do you have?
From 50 to 95 currently. So in our chair yoga class, our gentle chair yoga class, which we offer, there's options to do about 15 or 20 minute standing options for strength and balance, but the entire class can be done seated. We did a recent survey and probably most of the people were about 65 to 70 years old. And there's about 35 or so that come and join us. And the gentle mat yoga, the average age is a bit younger. They're probably about 60 60 years old. And the gentle mat yoga, we don't do a lot of get up, get down, but we know it's important to practice being able to get down to the floor and get up from the floor. So people can also use a chair to assist getting down and getting up, but we only are up and down once or twice. So it is a gentle practice, but we do provide some challenging options for balance, standing balance, and done in a safe way, but challenging way, and standing strength.
Shall we look a little bit closer at those two types? There is a gentle chair yoga. That's again new to me. I always thought of yoga, you're just making the stretches and perhaps contorting your body without anything else around. But there is the gentle chair yoga. I guess this is perfect for seniors who cannot, as you say, get down on the floor and change position. Tell us a bit more what that involves.
Yeah, so typically the class, we begin with what we call arriving. So just arriving into the moment. We'll be seated comfortably in our chair, and we'll practice some breathing, and all of that helps us to become a little more present to how we're feeling, if we have any particular areas of the body that we might need to be attentive to. And then we'll move into warming up through all the major areas of the body with some very easy movement. And we can do that seated. Sometimes if people, for example, if they're warming up through the spine and they would prefer to be standing, they can do it standing if they want, or they can do it seated. And then we usually have a particular theme or focus of the class. So a theme might be, for example, balance, and it might be first practicing physical balance, and then practicing some breathing, pranayama, where we balance the energy and the breath in the body. And we might also incorporate things like using an affirmation, words of positive words to ourselves, saying, I am balanced and I feel stable. So we usually weave a common theme through the class. And we'll work on some strength, standing or seated. And we've been incorporating in the chair yoga. It's rather fun. We'll have a song, and we call it a yoga flow. And it's a chance to practice some agility, some movement to a song, often a song people will recognize. Sometimes it's Justin Timberlake. Sometimes it's Frank Sinatra. Something that connects for people and just gets them into moving a little more quickly, moving and a little more challenged. And then we cool down, release tension with a nice relaxing stretch at the end, and finish with our final pose of relaxation and a bit of meditation.
Wonderful. It does sound gentle and something that anyone of any age and any ability can participate in at their level, whatever your level is.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have people who have had amputations and stroke and are in wheelchairs, and people who have lost their vision who participate. So as people come into the community and we have more understanding of their abilities or their limitations and work with them, we're really hopeful that everyone can find a way to participate and enjoy.
And the second one you mentioned, gentle mat yoga, and you mentioned it's a younger age group, so I imagine that's perhaps for those who are maybe a bit fitter.
Yep, there's no age limit on it, upper or lower, but just the ability to get up and down from the chair. The standing practices that we do, people can always have a chair nearby to use for stability. We always encourage to have a chair or a wall if they're doing some balance practice, so that they can challenge themselves but still feel safe, and not that they're not going to fall. And it's very similar to the chair yoga class. We arrive usually lying down on the mat and focusing into how our bodies are feeling, doing some breathing, deep breathing, which is so good for us on many levels, and then warming up through all the areas of the body, and gradually coming up to standing to do some stronger leg strength, core strength, balance practice, and then taking it back down to the mat to cool down and finish with our Shavasana, our restorative pose of rest and meditation.
The third thing that you mentioned is the Meditation Mondays. You say that's going to start again. What is that like, and how can seniors participate in the Meditation Mondays?
Meditation Mondays, I offered it was 30 minutes on every Monday from 11:30 till 12, and people could arrive up to 15 minutes early and socialize, which many of them did. My personal practice and training initially in meditation was in breath watching practice, which is more of a traditional Buddhist-based meditation practice. And even admittedly through my own struggles with keeping my dedication to a meditation practice, I've kind of evolved in my own personal way into mindfulness-based practices. So Meditation Mondays are about offering a sampling of a variety of different mindfulness-based practices. You can find them, examples of them on the website, wonderful teachers that are just master teachers and master guides in meditation, like John Kabat-Zinn and many others out there. So just bringing that and guiding that on Mondays. And for example, the last session, we did 30 weeks. We were able to explore 30 different mindfulness-based practices. So it gives people an opportunity to explore, and if something really resonates for them, to take it and practice it, work with it. That's meditation is meant to be done daily, best you can, and work with it. And maybe it's mindful walking that you do, or mindful tea sipping practice that you do every day. Try it for a week and just see what happens within you. And that's the exploration. And it was very, very well attended. I was quite surprised, but the benefits can be quite profound.
Okay, so the schedule for when the class is going to start again will be on your website, and we will provide information on how seniors who are interested in taking their fitness to a next level, getting fit and being more mindful, we'll have information on how they can reach you and reach your website. Those were the areas that I had. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to ensure that we share with our viewers?
I just encourage people to find a movement, to find some movement. It doesn't have to be structured. It doesn't have to be right at this time to that time every day and exactly all these movements. Put on your favorite song, tap your toes to it, whistle to it, just breathe or relax to it, or find some quiet time, 5 minutes to breathe. There's so much that our body will respond to. It'll stimulate the heart health, our immune system. Sometimes in class, we just move like cats. Move like a cat every hour. Move like a cat. So live in your body, love your body. Just live, love, laugh, move. Do it for you. That's my mantra.
That's beautiful. Live, love, laugh, and do it for you. Thank you very much for all that you've shared with us, Kim. I truly appreciate it, and I know that our Golden Years Fireside Chat viewers will get so much out of it.
Thank you, Celia. I really appreciate this opportunity. Keep well.
I'm Celia Sanker, Executive Director of the DiversityCanada Foundation, and we have been speaking today with Kim Hanna about fitness for seniors. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the Golden Years Fireside Chat Series. Be sure to join us at goldenvoices.com for more in the series where we focus on living longer and living well. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Bye for now.